roll-offs. Cleanup made simple.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket, when unheard issues get brought to light and every perspective counts. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
All right, here we are, Sunday night. This is Walk the Herd, and I am Rebecca Pearson. I'm checking in to make sure that our studio is set up. We have no echoes. Jake, how's it going there?
Not too bad, Michael. I don't know if you have something playing there. We do have a little bit of an echo, perhaps coming from your end. There we go. I think it's
okay. Just got to check the technology as we always do. This is a unique show for us where my co-host and guest tonight, Mike Worrell, is streaming in with me, which is great. I'm hailing in from North Carolina. And Mike, where are you coming in from?
I'm here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Are you still getting the echo?
I believe we might still be getting the echo. How's it going, Jake?
Yeah, a little bit of echo still coming in.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get a handle on it. I'll go ahead and start. Maybe Mike, you can find a way to mute, or maybe it's just me. So, all right, I'm Rebecca Pearson. This is Walk the Herd. You can call or text in and be a part of the conversation live or in a future show. We are always willing to have callers and texters, and we hope that you'll drop some questions in the chat, whether you catch us live or you're catching this on a recording. I'm Rebecca Pearson, and here in the virtual studio with me is Mike Worrell. Mike may look familiar to you as a co-host of the Sunday morning show NXT 24. He's also the co-host or co-author of a book, NXT 24. So good evening, Mike. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sounds good. And hopefully we've got a line on the echo. Jake, we got it under control?
Oh, well, good. Well, no, I'm so glad to be here tonight. It's such an honor to be on your show.
Great. Well, thanks for joining me. And you were involved with me in the inception of this concept for this show, Walk the Herd. And it's a place where each week we're exploring different perspectives that challenge beliefs and open minds across sports, business, life, and pretty much anything. So we have a great show for you tonight. We are picking up a little bit from last week's show where we talked about diminishers and multipliers. I had Jessie Hesse in with me talking about that. She works in kind of the corporate space as well. And we were sharing some stories about what that means for us. But that conversation leads a little bit to something that I wanted to pick up on, and will probably be a repeating theme around implicit or unconscious bias. So tonight's show, if you're tuned in, is about that topic. And if you're not familiar with that topic, we're going to talk a lot about what it is. So hopefully you'll have a different perspective when you leave. It affects literally everybody, but you may not be familiar with how pervasive it can be. So before we talk about that, though, Mike, I wanted to get you a little bit introduced to this audience, because if people don't know you, short of being a co-host here at 93.7 The Ticket in the morning and having co-authored a book, people may not know you. So how does it feel to be on air on a Sunday night?
It feels good. It feels good and strange to be on the other end. I'm
Yeah,
usually the one asking the questions. So no, that's really good. But no, my background, I'm a Lincolnite. Born and raised in Lincoln. My father was a teacher at Whittier Junior High. My mom was the traditional homemaker. I was the youngest of three. Attended Lincoln Southeast. Went to the University of Nebraska. Always loved everything about Nebraska and the state. My goal was to be a teacher and a coach, which I did for a while, just like my father. So it was kind of just the traditional route. But like many things, as time goes by and the world changes, life changes, job situations change, made some career changes, got into more of a sales and management role over time, experienced the highs and lows of the economy, like when we had the housing market, when we got laid off from a job, had to make some changes. So experienced many things that people in Lincoln had to go through. So it brings some great educational experiences.
Yeah, definitely. And tonight we'll talk a lot about how our experiences shape how we view things and try to give different perspectives. So I haven't had a man on the show yet. When I created this concept, a lot of it was around women's issues, related issues. But the reality is that a lot of these things affect everybody. So I appreciate you being the token guy for the first time to join the show. So let's start a little bit with a riddle. And you and I talked about the concept for this show, but I haven't shared everything with you, so I'm going to catch you cold on this one. And you may know this. You can tell me if you know it, and then it'll be a hypothetical for the people listening. But there's a little bit of a riddle that highlights how you can have unconscious bias. And so I'm going to share that with you. And if you know it, you can tell me. So here's the riddle for everyone. And Jake, you can join in on this one too if you want. So a father and his son are in a terrible car accident. The father dies instantly, and the boy is rushed to the hospital. In the operating room, the surgeon looks at the child and says, "I can't operate on this boy. He's my son. How is this possible?"
One of the fathers been a stepfather.
Stepfather. Okay, Jake, you want to weigh in on this one? How's this possible?
Yeah, I mean, my only other guess would be maybe a gay couple.
A gay couple, right? Very common for people to think this way, and the reality is the surgeon is his mother, right? Which is an aha when I say that, but it's exactly what we find sometimes when you and 80% of the world says something like you. When I first did it, and I'm a female, I had the same thing. I thought it was a stepfather, a gay couple, or something. Exact same thing when I first had it presented to me. So I've always loved this one because it's so bloody obvious when I say the mother is the surgeon, right? And yet we all fall into this trap. So thank you for playing along. I love that. And it's just an example of what the research that they've done on this particular riddle, besides the 80% of people respond that way, is that when they replace the word son with child, it dramatically changes the outcome, which to me is fascinating, right? So there's something about the son and the father, all traditional, that gets you really in that traditional kind of mindset. So anyway, it's just something to say. And also, as I've indicated, there's no difference in the way genders respond. 80% of all people, male or female, respond that way. So that's to me a great way to kind of introduce the topic. And why is that? I would expect Mike, perhaps our generation, and maybe even Jake's. He's a lot younger than you and me, but however, not someone from this generation. I will be fascinated to watch this over time and see, as there are more women surgeons, whether or not people change their response to this. So, what's your take on all of that? How does that strike you?
I agree. I think the word you hear from me a lot is traditional roles.
Right.
I remember just growing up. Most of the people who I saw were teachers early on were female, elementary.
Right.
Then it was a little bit of a mix in maybe junior high, then more males in high school. But it was the traditional roles. My mother was a homemaker. That was maybe a traditional role, but she was very good at it. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to say that she did that. My father, traditional role would be he worked 2 jobs, he provided for the household. And that's what we observed. That's what we saw back then.
Right.
And so the question is that nature or is it nurture?
Right. And it's also exposure. So when you think about traditional roles, and again, no data for current generations or even over time. I don't have all the data, but this particular riddle highlights that traditional roles for sure, and certainly in our generation where you didn't see a lot of women surgeons, it doesn't even come to us naturally because we didn't see it. And so there's exposure. If you don't see something or if you don't see yourself in a role. We talk a lot about this when you're hiring people, promoting people in business, and pretty much anything. We talk about this even at the radio station. If you don't see people that look like you in any job, then this, I think, highlights a really good reason why you might not even think it's for you, whether it's conscious or subconscious, unconscious, that you don't think, people like you, whatever that means, get to those roles. You've got all this stuff that if you're not aware of it may be a limiting factor for you. Does that make sense? And have you seen that in other places?
Well, I remember again, and I say traditionally, when we were told, what are you going to be when you grow up? It's a young boy. What are you going to be when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
And then the reply would be, do you want to be like a policeman, a fireman, those types of roles, a teacher,
Right.
or a lawyer, or a doctor? Those were the phrases I.
Sure. And probably no one asked you at that time if you wanted to be a nurse, which would be, again, historically and still more traditionally a female role, although there are a lot of male nurses these days. But probably they didn't even ask you, do you just want to be a stay-at-home dad? Think about how many stay-at-home dads there are now. Versus,
No, I remember when we would hear that phrase, "to stay at home." Yeah,
right.
we
It didn't
we
exist.
kind of chuckle. We thought
Right.
that was different.
Right. Yeah, and it's fascinating to me because I spent my career in marketing and doing a lot of things in marketing, but I had large budgets to do advertising in the corporate world. And certainly when you think about advertising, think about the stations that you watch and who you see in ads. Again, over time, I think you see more attempts at representation of male, female, reverse roles, ethnic diversity, age diversity in a lot of advertising. And this is a topic I love to talk about because in the marketing discipline, there's a lot going on around targeting and what helps you. Whenever you're in marketing and you're doing an advertising campaign, it's a great way to talk about it. You're targeting a certain group of individuals that you think will have a higher probability of buying your product. Period. It's more efficient than trying to spend money on a bunch of people that aren't interested in your product. So, pick something like dandruff shampoo. Why would you spend time communicating to people that don't have dandruff, right? And how, so very simplistic perspective, but all of that relates to, there's a group of people then that don't see your advertising. And there's a whole lot of sort of implicit, unconscious, systemic bias built into that marketing discipline. It's a great concept and is a necessary principle, but it feeds on itself. So we could have a whole hour conversation on that. But the media is a way that we get these impressions, these traditional roles, these standards. And I would say the other thing is that, who you interact with. Think about Nebraska. You and I were talking about this before. Nebraska is still very white, relatively speaking. But from your background and history, you were talking about the school you went to, and certainly when you look at population changes in Nebraska, there is quite significant evidence in the growth of ethnic minorities, but it's still, all the minorities together are still something like 20 to 25% of the entire population, all the minorities, right? So if you don't have it around you, then why would you be conditioned to see things a certain way? What's your view, having watched Lincoln over the years, or even Nebraska?
Well, what I found it interesting when you brought up the topic of the show, the definition of implicit bias, it says unconscious attitudes or stereotypes that affect our understanding, actions, and decisions. I mean, we weren't even consciously thinking
Right.
of these things. I find that really interesting because you might say or do something or go down a path that you think is perfectly normal and find out there's a different way to view it. And looking this up, it says, why does it matter? Bias isn't just about hate, it's about a habit.
Yes. And
I thought that was into our habits and how we view things and what we do. So to go back to that, then I'm thinking is unconsciously, we went to junior high, we became friends. A lot of my friends, we went on to high school together. We found our friends, the people that we like to hang out with, and it seemed perfectly, quote, normal. Well,
right.
but and of course, we'd have a few minorities in school, and I remember, they felt out of place.
Mm-hmm.
I remember many saying that, or tried to, quote, fit in, or it might be different in the classroom. But Rebecca, what's interesting, as we talk about sports a lot.
Yes.
We didn't feel like there was a bias on a football team or a baseball team, regardless of color,
Right.
because we wore the same uniform.
Right. And
now I find that interesting.
Well, me too. And of course, it's a lot behind why DP and I have the station, right? Sports is the great equalizer to me because you unify a whole bunch of people that have all these amazing, wonderful differences behind a team, which, by the way, go Big Red. Yay. Great game yesterday. Nail biter, but really competitive. Love that stuff. And yes, you get people rooting for the same team because they have this unifying concept. And that's a lot of what motivates me to do a show like this, is because it's a way to have a conversation. And I'm going to say this many times tonight because this topic is very much this. It's not bad, it just is. We all have unconscious bias. So if you can embrace that concept as we talk about it tonight, it's about understanding how and why you have that, and then bringing it to your consciousness. And why is that? Because you might want to, we snap to judgments, to your point, right? They become habits, and it's a great walk into what I want to bring up as references of where people can learn more about this and how our brains work. But you do create habits, and you want to bring that to awareness, because as you're making decisions or judgments, and I think that's a lot of the anxiety in our culture, is the judgment that goes with a perception that you have about someone that may or may not be founded. And so there are a few things. I'm currently studying something around habits, and the core thinking behind habits is a book or many books around this way of thinking. But the one that's probably most famous, from about 15 years ago, was written by Daniel Kahneman, and it's called Thinking Fast and Slow. Have you ever heard of that book, Mike?
I've heard of it. I have not read it.
Yeah, so it describes your brain. You kind of have two systems, is the way that it talks about it. And if you think of them as two ways your brain thinks, and this has to do with fast twitch fibers, there's all kinds of science behind it, but if you keep it simple, you have the fast brain, which it's impulsive and automatic and intuitive. And in many cases, especially when you think about habits like tying your shoes, right? You can tie your shoes and talk and do a whole bunch of things at one time because you've built the habit of tying your shoes over time. So habits are great because they save us a lot of time. If you had to retrain yourself every morning how to tie your shoes, how to eat, all that stuff, like, these are great things to have, but it also feeds this same way of making decisions and judgment. So you have system one in the book is called the impulsive, the automatic, and the intuitive. And then system two is your thoughtful, deliberate, and calculating part of your brain. And they play off of each other. And, system one is without your conscious control. And why is that? It can be a habit, or it can be a lot of what we're talking about is what you see around you, what you know, what is familiar, like tying your shoes. You see a bunch of people doing something, year in and year out, then it becomes second nature. And then system 2, of course, is, how do you train your brain to be more deliberate when you need to be that? And you need both of these, because again, why would you want to take a bunch of time to retrain your brain how to do something? Right? But being more deliberate and more aware of when maybe you're making a snap habit judgment or decision when perhaps you need to have more information, right? I think that's kind of the core. So great book for people that have not ever read that. You can go watch Daniel Kahneman on YouTube and get the short version of that. But there's a ton of science behind this, which again, I will reiterate, it's not bad that you have unconscious bias. Everybody does. It's more about the awareness. Where do you have that? Where does that serve you well? And where doesn't it? So, all right. So now that we've kind of got that established, I think there were a couple of other things that I wanted to mention that might be examples and familiarity, and you might be able to relate to these, Mike. One of them is about, there's lots of research. There's a lot of research on a lot of things, but I'm in the business world, and that's what I know a lot about. So people that are taller, if you look at CEOs, I don't know if you've ever heard this, you probably have, pretty well-known fact. Most CEOs of companies are tall relative to the average population. Height gives you a sense of power, stature. We know a lot of CEOs are also male, but the height is interesting to me. Had you been aware of that data?
I have been aware of that, yeah. And it's an interesting subconscious thing. But when you stand into a CEO that's taller looking down on you,
Right.
it gives a feeling of they have power over you.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And then as you see more people, again, you're not consciously measuring the person as 6 foot or 6'5", you don't consciously see that. But if you're next to people, or relatively speaking, like if you look at a TV screen or something, now that we're sensitizing people to this, you can start to go pay attention. The other one that's interesting to me is attractive people. There's a lot of research that attractive people, in many cases, not always, fit a stereotype, a wish, a desire, or something, and they do better in hiring, recruiting, promotions, like a whole bunch of stuff, right? And hey, genetics are genetics. So, if you weren't blessed with genes that make you attractive, then how is that fair? It's not. So it's another one. There's a lot of research on when you're doing and it's time for us to take a break. So maybe we'll take a break. There's a lot of these examples. When we come back, I want to ask you, Mike, if you had a chance to go look at any of the Harvard tests. I did one. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about implicit bias. This is Rebecca Pearson, Mike Worrell at Walk the Herd, 93.7 The Ticket.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's schwisow.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
All right, welcome back to Walk the Herd. This is Rebecca Pearson with my co-host tonight, Mike Worrell. This is 93.7 The Ticket. If you'd like to chat or call in or drop us a chat in the social media, our number is 402-464-5685. We're also on Allo and all the social media channels. So right before the break, we were talking about unconscious bias, implicit bias. How do we get there? Some of the ways that it shows up in our day-to-day lives. Now, while we were on a break, Mike, did you think of something?
Well, no, I was just saying, yeah, the test that you sent, or the Harvard test that you sent me,
Yep.
my interest today was on the gender career section, because I'm fascinated too in terms of business, careers, people in the workplace, and how to better manage and work and communicate with people who may be different.
Right.
And I think going back to your earlier question, Lincoln's become much more diverse, even though it may not seem like it all the time, than what it was, say, 20, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've had to adjust. I've had to adjust to how I communicate or how I manage or how I speak or what I write, either in a business email or present in a classroom. So I find that there was a period of time that as you talk about, for me, for example, quote, white male, older, I'm in my 60s, how I had to adjust. I had to reframe things, how I saw things, compared to subconsciously how I looked at things or was introduced to things in my early years, junior high, high school, or even college.
Do you have, thanks for sharing that. And, I love having you here because I know you're comfortable in your skin. It's always kind of hard to share things where you used to think one way and now you think another. So you were saying as things change, you had to rethink how you write, how you spoke. Are there things that strike you that you remember that you had to do, and why did you have to do them? What was that all about?
Well, I even think in the old days of management, you used to hear the phrase, "Oh, that's old school management." Well, old school management was kind of like get in line, get tough, toughen up, do the job, do the work with really no questions asked sometimes in certain places, in certain periods of time. It was based on your position or maybe your management or your title. And I think that's shifted. I think that's changed now.
And what drove that change? And you train for a living. We haven't talked about what you do for a living, but you train people. So what have you noticed? Like I always say, words mean stuff, right? When you're thinking about the words you use, what was it? Was it education? Was it culture? Why did you feel like you had to change?
I think now it's culture. I train more people now than ever who are not born in the United States, not born, but have immigrated over here more than in the past. So I think you have to adjust to that. They also have a cultural history that's different than mine. So I had to adapt to what they believed and what I believed, and we had to come to a little understanding of how we think and believe and what work should be like.
How about even just English as a second language? It's one of the things I noticed in the corporate world. I speak very quickly. I even do that on this show. I speak quickly. But if English is not your native language, how odd is that to be trying to listen and follow what's going on? And did you have to make any adjustments for that for people that weren't born here?
Well, it is, and unfortunately, I don't speak any other language than English. Unfortunately, many people that do immigrate to Lincoln, for example, and are in the workplace, they do have to assimilate a little bit. They do have to try to learn some English. We try to translate or try to use phone apps, but there has to be some type of understanding, which is difficult. It is difficult over time. But that's a big learning curve. But we have to get there together. It's my point. We have to get to an understanding and work together in order to get to the main goal. Is that if I'm training someone to do a job, I have to be communicating what I'm trying to teach, and I have to make sure that they, in turn, understand what I'm presenting.
And whether it's language or something else, I'm going to highlight a couple of things that I personally experienced because I worked in a global community. So most of the people that I worked with, or a good portion, let's say 60% of them, were non-native English speakers. They spoke English, but they all spoke with an accent. But what is very hard and I think very relevant, no matter whether we're talking about ethnic differences, neighborhood differences, culture differences, whatever it is, it's difficult sometimes, as in takes more time to get to know someone, to communicate. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. I think, you have to ask questions that you feel like maybe you should know about someone or somebody, but it is extra effort, let me put it that way, to accommodate someone that's not like you. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I do. I find it fascinating, and I have to find actually for myself, I enjoy listening and learning the other person's history, their culture, how they viewed things, for example, we had a young lady in our training class that brought us traditional dishes and food from her country. Oh, what fun that was
Right.
to learn and to hear her offer that. But in turn, she enjoyed giving to the other people that were in her class that also came from different backgrounds and cultures.
Yeah, and I think it's because it's an extra effort. If you're not someone that naturally likes to learn, which I think both of us are, but not everybody is, the awareness that it takes extra time and extra effort is something you have to be conscious of, because people want to feel included, but also you've got to find a way to work with someone in a work environment. When you're just living in a neighborhood, you don't necessarily have to work that hard to be a neighbor to someone, but all these things materialize somewhere in your life. So I want to ask you, did you take one of the Harvard implicit tests?
I did. I did the one on the gender career
Okay.
test. I did that. It did not give me back a result, though. Should I have gotten back a result? It did not.
You should have. Yes. You should have.
When I hit submit, it did not come back.
Interesting. Well, it just flashes something up at the top. So for people listening to this, this is the Harvard Implicit Association test, and it is at implicit.harvard. I think it's at, yes, implicit.harvard.edu. And there's a whole host of kind of tests you can take. It's really fun, takes you maybe 10 minutes, and can flush out unconscious bias, which no matter how much you swear you don't have it, I will be shocked if you don't have it somewhere. So it just flashes up, Mike, and I did one. I'm going to share mine. I was curious to see what you thought of your results, but it usually just comes up and says you're either faster or slower or whatever at sorting whatever it was it asked you to sort. So can you describe the test that you didn't get your results, and then I'll share mine.
Oh, I liked it where in terms of it asked me questions in terms of names and careers, whether it fit under the family category or the career category. And I had to keep hitting the E key or the I key back and forth.
Right.
And I just thought it was interesting. And it mentioned just to go quickly as you can.
Right.
And you're just going back and forth. And so I'll try that again and see, or look for that particular result. But what I'm fascinated about is the link that you did send me. If I can share this.
Yep.
With you while we're here.
What did I send you? I don't know what I sent you. I thought that's what I sent you.
Yeah, hang on, I will tell you.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I will share that I took the test of weight, WEIGHT. And so for people who haven't experienced this, so Harvard has been collecting this data, I think, for 40 or 50 years. They have been doing this test, and there's a whole lot of different ones that you can take on unconscious bias areas. And the goal is basically association of words and sometimes visuals and speed. And the whole concept is to show you again how many things that you have habit, instinct, it could be experiences. There's a reason your brain thinks fast, back to Daniel Kahneman's book about these associations. And so you can, for fun, go test and see whether you've got unconscious bias somewhere. Again, it's not bad, it just is. And so the more awareness you can have when that becomes important about decisions and judgments that you need to make, then it can highlight something. I have fun with it. I mean, I don't know. I'll share my results. Did you find your link?
Oh, look, what I did find is you've got 18 different categories here.
Yep.
That amazed me, from disability, sexuality, transgender, weapons, Arab, gender science, Asian foreign, Hispanic, presidents, gender career, Muslim, skin tone, on and on. A tremendous amount of categories to do.
Right.
So I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, we'll drop the link in the chat because I would encourage people to just have some fun with that, right? I mean, you might not like the results. I don't really like mine, but I'm going to share it anyway. So weight is something that's been on my mind forever. I'm someone that thinks about that a lot. That's been a part of my life, the way I grew up. I created my own problem. I was anorexic when I was in college, and so I have a lifelong focus, I guess, on weight, my own. Okay, but what's interesting is when I took this weight test, it said so the comparisons I was doing was bad words and good words, fat people and thin people. Okay, this is the words from the test. I'm not bringing in my own words. This is the way the test is structured. And I'm very dialed into it. And I would, it doesn't necessarily reflect how you consciously feel, but it reflects how you react. And so I was much faster at sorting fat people with bad words and thin people with good words. And this is the way that these tests highlight a unconscious bias. Now, rationally, I would say I don't intend to have any opinions that way, but for whatever reason in my upbringing and my experience, when I take this test, that's the association. And for me, I am always super conscious of that because I truly, rationally, when I'm aware and thinking, don't have a preference for people, no matter what their physical size is, right? I mean, there's a million reasons why that I am super dialed into that. But that was my outcome. And so I share that because I'm aware that I could have that bias. Now, I would try very hard not to have that in actuality, right? And that's how you can use these tests if this stuff fascinates you and interests you like it does to me. So, all right. Well, we are already, man, Mike, this time flies by, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
We're going to take one more break. And when we come back, I would love to get some additional thoughts from you as you're getting exposed to this topic from a different way. So this is Mike and Rebecca on Walk the Herd at 93.7 The Ticket. We'll take a break and be right back.
Harvest season is coming, and Acres has discounted many of our late model John Deere combines. Get thousands in discounts and upgrade for this year's harvest. Plus, you could save even more with interest rates starting as low as 1.9% on select units. Low interest rates combined with our huge discounts, there's not a better time to buy. Visit acres.com for all the details. That's akrs.com. Restrictions apply. Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Hey fans, there's more winning at Amigos with the VIP Game Day giveaway. Every app scan is your chance to win premium tickets to a Nebraska football, basketball, and volleyball game, along with exclusive game day perks. And when Nebraska goes to a bowl, the winner also gets 2 tickets, lodging, and airfare to the bowl game. Weekly semifinalists will win free food for a year. Go Big Red. Eat at Amigos and enter to win.
Amigos is celebrating 45 years with exclusive Nebraska Legends collectible cups featuring Tom Osborne, John Cook, and some of your favorite Huskers. For every cup sold, 50 cents goes to teammates. Show your Big Red pride by getting all 4 of these collectible cups at Amigos.
This is Tom Osborne with the Teammates Mentoring Program. We have students on the waiting list for a mentor, and we want you to join the team. Learn more about mentoring and support teammates by visiting Amigos.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2A grant.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
All right, welcome back to Walk the Herd here Sunday night. This is Rebecca Pearson, Mike Worrell. Thanks for joining me tonight. Hopefully I'm introducing you to some new concepts here, Mike. What's your takeaway? You had a little break time to think about it.
Oh no, it's I think it's very impactful, more than ever how it's changed. Rebecca, I'd like to ask you a question. Because you took that test and from when you go from unbiased or unconscious bias to conscious bias, how did that change your life?
Yes, well, I started down this path probably 10 years ago when I was in the corporate world, as we were trying to understand how do you change behavior, and understanding that these things are systemic, they're built in. There is no way to change some of these things unless you're more aware of them. So I think I'm on the constant journey to challenge myself all the time about stereotypes. I think that's, the easiest way to refer to unconscious bias in our regular parlance would be a stereotype of some kind. And I'm going to say, as a white person, I'm constantly thinking about, am I doing that? Am I making a judgment? I mean, this is real stuff. I do this frequently when I'm interacting with somebody who's not white, and I don't do it with someone who is white. Okay, so that's an example. When I meet someone who speaks another language, I am very conscious of how hard it is for me to stay focused, to listen to someone, and how important that is to that person that you're paying attention to them when they don't speak the language or have a heavy accent or something like that. I mean, it's just a constant level of effort because I've been trained. We have lots of corporate training in this, and that's what I hope to bring as a perspective. And I'm aware that it's a lot of work. So when I say this to someone, and I mean it's a lot of effort, it is. So how do you convince yourself to make the effort? I would ask you that. I think you do some of this naturally, but I'm assuming, being on this conversation with me, it's going to be even higher up your awareness chain. What do you think?
I've noticed in terms of, especially in the recent years in the role that I'm in as a business trainer, in the job that I'm in, that I have to be mindful and really regulate my emotions, because that allows me to slow down my decision making, to avoid snap judgments.
Right.
And then it allows me to build relationships across differences, which has been very rewarding to meet people from different backgrounds and cultures. And I found that with the way we interact with each other, we've been very accepting of each other. I could tell you many stories of the people that I have met from South America, from the Middle East, that work for us, that we share and talk and learn from each other. But it's been from a very respectful chair with each other when we sit and talk. And I find myself doing more listening than talking with them.
Right.
But also, I think about being more of an inclusive leader. I think that's very, very important.
Right.
And I find that very rewarding.
And inclusion is, in the end, kind of the takeaway. But I think, you kind of have to want to be aware. And so part of what I'm sharing, this show is about sharing unheard perspectives, right? Where the unheard get heard and every perspective counts. So you're hearing me as a woman sharing some of these things. You and I are talking as white people, and what we see. There are a lot of other differences out there in people that we're not able to share tonight, but it's the start of a conversation. And for me, I thought it might be fun in our last few minutes here before Jake gives me the signal with music or something to talk about some of the stereotypes that are out there that come from unconscious bias. So let's go tit for tat, see if we can do this. So I'm going to start, give you a few seconds to think. One of the ones that strikes me is how people are dressed. Right? And so if someone shows up for an interview and they're wearing a suit versus jeans and a hoodie, when I say that, those of us from corporate are thinking, oh my gosh, if somebody showed up at a corporate interview in jeans and a hoodie, right, you might have an impression. Forget what gender, ethnic, height they had. But what if they were interviewing for, a customer service job answering phones at, the food bank? Maybe jeans and a hoodie are fine. Maybe this corporate environment, jeans and a hoodie are fine. But immediately for me, that's one of the things I think about that you have to stop and think about. So, all right, you got one?
You just said, well, I've also seen in terms of the past couple of years, you see a lot of young people come into interview with jobs with heavily tattooed,
Oh,
not just
great one.
one or two.
And what's the immediate thought with somebody who is tatted up?
Do they fit the right corporate image? Do you remember in the day they said, you can work here, but you're going to have to cover up those tats?
100%. 100%. Now it's a part of the outfit. I mean, and yes, and tattoos, depending on your generation, could mean biker. Again, I'm throwing out stereotypes. I'm not saying I agree with any of this, but biker, someone who gets in trouble, somebody who's different, just different. Different culture, that can be a whole new thing. I find it fascinating now to ask people about their tattoos. What a cool way to get to know someone, and the pride there is in showing the tattoos. That's an awesome one. That's a current one. How about when, let's see, you meet somebody on the street whose hair is a bit disheveled and clothes don't look clean? Immediate assumptions may or may not be relevant. They might not have gone home last night.
Could be homeless, could be just unkept. Might be to think that they don't take pride in themselves. You go to these assumptions that may not be true at all.
Right. And again, if you live in a homogeneous world, whatever that means, so homogeneity where everything is the same, you're all the same height, you're all the same race, you're all the same gender, you're all from the same neighborhood, never mind just a neighborhood of mixed people who go to the next neighborhood that's different for whatever reason. You have a culture in your neighborhood, you have impressions, right? There's just a million things where this could apply. So Mike, I'm going to give you the last word here before I assume Jake's going to give me the hook here pretty soon. So what would you like to share with the group?
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me be on the show, and because I do agree with you, and it's a learning curve, and I also notice bias anymore a little toward myself, or at least I'm aware of it. When people see me, they see a white male. I'm going to be 64, will soon be 65. I still have a lot of work to do. I still have a lot of energy, but I do notice now that I get treated a little differently.
Yeah.
So what the last word is to me, just embrace each other's differences, enjoy each other's differences, learn their cultures, and have fun in life. The world has changed so much, but I really hope we get back to where we can sit down in our communities and our neighborhoods. And like when we get together at 93.7 The Ticket and have these kind of chats, how fun is that? And what a great experience that is. We're creating great memories.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight. This is Mike and Rebecca signing off. Walk the Herd, 93.7 The Ticket. We'll see you next week.